Yep, we're filming. Right. I have to check with this telephone, this smartphone, it's a bit dodgy sometimes. So I'm actually making a lot of films that just suddenly get deleted halfway through it, and I've no idea why. Yeah, kit review, knife, Opinel, Opinel, however you want to pronounce it. Now, it's been 20 years since I've owned one of these, and I was over on an island visiting a mate of mine, who's an outdoorsman, shooting man, and and I was praising a knife that I had some years ago. And it was this knife, not this one, but this type of knife, this Opinel made in France knife. And I was praising it, and he said, "Well, I've got a few of them." He says, "You can have one." So he gave me it, and I was so chuffed. I was so chuffed to bits to get another one of these, because years ago when I had my old knife, I had it for over 10 years. And it went everywhere with me. It went everywhere with me, from the beaches to the lakes, you name it, camping and everything. And that old knife got covered in shit, blather, sand, fish guts, you name it. It was coated, especially with the sea fishing, cutting up squid and mackerel for bait and things, and cutting sea fishing line, which at that time was all nylon. There wasn't such a thing as braid back then, and it weathered it, and it handled it no problem. I used to get home from fishing, and I'd clean it with hot water, let it dry, and then give it a squeeze with WD-40, a few runs over with a sharpening stone, sharp as a razor, good to go. And yeah, so it stood its test in the field. A lot of times, like with weaponry and stuff like that, they're often good in the invention rooms, but they're not that good in the field. So this is the knife for the man who is a practical outdoorsman. So I would definitely recommend anyone buying this. And it's cheap as chips as well. I mean, cheap this time because I got it given. But yeah, they don't cost a lot of money. You've got a super knife. You can use it for anything. You can fillet fish with this, no problem, because it's got a bit of a flexible blade, which I really like. The mechanism, though, is something you have to keep your eye on, because if you're used to a normal, shall we say, folding locking knife that does it itself, then you may forget, when you bring the knife open, when you bring the blade up, twist the locking system so it's locked again. You don't want that knife blade folding in on itself as you're riding with some tree stump or whatever. That will cut down to the bone, right to the bone, and that is not a good idea. So yeah, that's my thing about my favourite knife of all times. Chuffed to bits, as I've already said. I've got another one, and that's going to be with me as long, I hope, until the end of my days. I hope the end of my days isn't too soon, by the way. But yeah, so that's my little knife review today. Not a big film, but it was important. I just want to do a shout out to Kimber Bushcraft on the subject of knives. Now, he lives in northern Denmark like I do, in not my neck of the woods as such, but certainly not that far off. And he has a lovely selection of knives. I think some of them he's made himself. And generally, the bushcraft scene are really into knives. Most bushcrafters and outdoorsmen seem to have an array of knives. I've never seen anything like it. So many knives. Some of them look more like they should be used by the SAS on combat roles, that sort of thing. But it's nice, and it's a nice hobby. So it's something I'm interested in to a degree, but I'm not fanatical. For me, bushcrafting, camping is always a means to an end, to be doing something else. For example, shooting or fishing. Of course, when the children were small, camping became a totally different thing. But I'm really enjoying this scene. And another shout out, everyone that's subscribed. Thank you very much. I take that as a personal compliment. The fact that you want to listen to me, the fact that you think I've got something to offer is nice to know. I like to feel that after 42 years of being in the outdoors and used to roughing it in many situations, yeah, you can say that, I've got something good to offer. So I won't go on too much, but I would recommend, if you want a little backup knife, or in my case, a knife, get yourself one of these Opinels. They'll last a lifetime. You look after it, it will look after you. Like I say, good blade, easy to sharpen. Maybe as well, people might argue, yeah, blunt's easy too, but it takes seconds to get another nice edge on it. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not an issue or a problem. Issue. Everyone uses the word issue. In the old days, you called them a problem, but now you need a tissue for your issue. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day at that. Thanks again to everybody that subscribed. No fishing today, it just didn't feel right. So it's just been an amble down the fjord and to show you all my new knife. So you have a real good day, everybody. Be safe, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.